Once again, this is going to be probably feature length. So if you're looking for a 5-minute, 10-minute review on this device, probably won't work for you. My donors like the feature length stuff. They like the discussions of POU. They like competitive offerings and all that meshed together in what is known as a Nut and Fancy tabletop review. So if you're cool with that, we will get underway with what I think will be a very entertaining, very informative value night vision equipment review, Nut and Fancy style. And by the way, as a reminder, you and I have a lot in common. Yes, our taste in watches, guns, knives, tactical equipment. And yes, we are gear nerds. That's right, gear nerd alert. I totally am. But more than that, and I hope you know this having watched the show for so long, long-term TMPers, if you're new, subscribe to my YouTube. That's right, YouTube account where this may post. I may just do like, I don't know, a few minutes of it, and then I'll ask you to go over to YouTube. We'll see. We'll see how that works. But subscribe to YouTube, Gab account. I'm still in YouTube right now because guys love YouTube for some reason. That's where they're always going. Do all that and welcome. But like I was saying, we have a lot in common. And one of those things is we are kind of cheap. I don't know if cheap is the right word. We're value people. There you go. And that's one reason. Again, I said it in the PVS-14 review. This unit right here. That's why I waited so long to get one, number one, and to even review it. Because it's a lot of money. To go down that road of a Gen 3 PVS-14 system. And some dudes want two. Yeah, so we're value people. We want to save money. And yet we know about the tactical advantage of having a NOD system. Night Observation Device System. Yeah, you know that. And having tested this stuff for the last 6 months, I wouldn't say intensively, but quite often, it's cool. It's cool. And it is exactly everything you think it will be. It's awesome. And it is advantageous for you to have it in your system. I will also preface all of this with saying that I want you to get everything else squared away before you go down the night vision path. Be okay, ammunition, the guns you need, food, bills for the house, all that stuff that I've said before. I think NV, as cool as it is, as tactically advantageous as it is, it should be pretty low on your list of priorities. Just says Nut and Fancy. I'm a consumer advocate. I'm looking out for you. I don't want you to go out and spend money on even this device if you don't think you need it. There you go. How's that for being real? Yeah, and another thing I'm not going to do in this tabletop review on the Sionyx Aurora series of colored night vision cameras, here's one right here, is I'm not going to sell this as a replacement of a PVS-7 or a PVS-14. No, I'm not going to do that. Again, I'm going to keep it real. Compared to a Gen 3 system, it sucks. Gen 2, still kind of sucks. Gen 1, I think it's better than Gen 1. I know because I dabbled in Gen 1 crap back in the 90s and I hated it. So, but it does have a night capability. The Sionyx Aurora camera does have a night vision capability with limitations that you're going to get here in real time. I'm going to tell you what I found out, my opinion on this unit, is it worth it, and how do you integrate this into a system? Okay, and how much money would you save? All that stuff. You're at the right place. Again, feature length. I'm not trying to rush this. What I'm trying to do is help you save money, increase your system capabilities, and maybe you rule it out. That you watch this review and go, yeah, I don't know if I need that. Again, I'm probably going to sell you on this Sionyx. When I tell you what it can do, it's lower price. You're probably going to want one. There you go. I'm just being honest. Links below. Always use my links below. They're one reason I am so independent. When you click on those, it adds up. It doesn't cost you anything. And what do I do? I go buy more gear to review independently, No distributor involved, no manufacturer involved. It's just you and me and the crew that helps me test. On the table, we have a super cool knife. I think it's from Dagger, something like that. I'm going to review this. This thing's sick. I love it. A P227 and 45 ACP, still wearing the Ghost Town dust on it. So beautiful, this gun. 227 hits so hard, especially with plus Ps. Holy cow. Then I have a beautiful Browning high power on loan coming up for tabletop review. Yeah, a TMPer who wants to remain anonymous, by the way, has this loaned to me, and so thank you very much, anonymous TMPer. And I don't blame him a bit with what's going on in this country, do you? Watch for the review is a Hamilton khaki hand wind. Reviewed, expensive, and awesome. It's a hand wound watch, not automatic, not quartz. It's fabulous. And then I have a Seiko 5 Sports Diver on the table. I don't know if you can see that one. There's your data. And some fun patches on the Windy Exfil helmet. This is a PVS-14 Gen 3 white phosphorus hand select pinnacle tube filmed. Okay, on we go. Let's say, by the way, I just talked about the PVS-14. In my research over the last 6 months, of which I've done hundreds of hours, no kidding, coming up to speed on what's going on with NV stuff, I do see a certain sentiment out there of you need to spend a lot of money and you need to get only the best. And it's a pretty interesting game to play. And I wrote some numbers down here. I'm going to go through them quickly. I'm going to assume that the individual who's thinking this way is the same person that says never buy Chinese. So he'll say, no, don't ever buy Chinese, buy American, buy American, buy American. I'm like, okay. For this total, I'm going to assume for this, and what I'm going to do is just set forth a dual PVS-14 system for you with a helmet, mounts, and I'm going to tell you how much it's going to cost. Ready? And this guy's not going to buy Chinese, he's going to buy American, like Wilcox. PVS-14 Gen 3, hand select, white phosphorus, filmed like this, $3,400. Just this. Awesome. Just this, $3,400. By the way, back ordered. By the way. Yeah, back ordered. Depending where you go, Optics Planet is where I recommend you go. That's where my links are. They are faster than anyone I've seen. I've seen other websites back ordered like 4 months. But let's say that guy says, well, I don't want to go filmed. I want to go filmless. $4,500 per unit. He wants two. He wants binocular vision. And I'm just assuming he's going with a PVS-14 system, not some of the others we've talked about. And then he needs a bridge to connect those together, of which I don't have on the table. And so he's going to spend, for a Wilcox bridge, $1,000. $1,000. And then he could get a Mod Armory bridge. That's still $575. A bump helmet like this, about $300. And Team Wendy has issues. I know they do. You can read below. I'll put a short summary of their issues. They make great product, though. I'm not going to say they don't. Their products are fantastic. But let's say you don't want to go with that. You can go with a US Shield bump helmet. They have those Optics Planet. $320, $20 more than this. They're back ordered 4 months. But I'm just giving you prices. When we're building up to a total cost for all this, you're going to love this. It's going to blow you away. You're going to need two Wilcox J-arms. So this is a J-arm, this portion right here, that goes from your G24 mount down to your optic. And assuming you go with Wilcox, that's going to be about $230. And maybe you want with an auto on-off power switch, about $230. Then you want a genuine, which this is not. This is Chinese. But we'll pretend that it's a genuine Wilcox G24 mount. This one is actually excellent quality. Has some plastic bits on it, but I ain't going to spend money for a Wilcox. I ain't. But let's say the dude is $500. So grand total for a dual PVS-14 system is $11,246. Let me say that again. $11,246. If he goes for a two filmed PVS units, which I say are fine, you don't need filmless, says me, having tested this extensively, $9,050. Give or take, and I probably left some stuff out. There you go. So you watch the Nut and Fancy PVS-14 review, you go up to your wife and you go, hey, hun, I need $11,250 to buy my night vision equipment. I can only imagine what she told you. She probably said, "Get the hell out of here. I'll give you a budget of $400. That's what she told you. Okay, so what to do, what to do. You want a night vision capability. Okay, so let's just kind of put the PVS-14 system, as cool and as capable as it is, and it's both of those. I ain't going to say otherwise. It's awesome, but it's expensive. Let's just put that in the background, and let's consider the Sionyx, that's the brand, color night vision camera. And I have two. They were sent to me by a TMP donor. Thank you very much. James Pena. Round of applause for James. What's up? What a stud, man. Thank you so much for sending them to me. And I might have my own as well. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see as the review progresses. Okay, so there's two cameras here. James is a donor, of which you should be a donor too. The elite of the project, the reason I'm still making videos. He wrote me, he's like, "Hey dude, I've got Sionyx Auroras. I got two of them. I have them set up for binocular view. This is his bridge mount. I might talk about it a little bit later. It's kind of a knockoff on a G24 mount. This one is, a way lower quality than this one. This has a whole plastic base to it. We didn't like the mount and testing it, but James, when he contacted me, he goes, "Hey, I realize this is not a legitimate night vision system. It's kind of a stand-in until I can afford something better. I want to send it to you, get your opinion." And I was like, "Sure, bring it." So thank you to James. By the way, dude, if I haven't got it, I need your return address. You did not write your return address, and I will ship you back some fun stuff, a watch, a knife, and some other stuff as a big thank you for letting me use your system and learn about it. Okay, so if you get this system, we came out with that ridiculous amount, $11,000 or so dollars, and that's, by the way, I'm not making those figures up. That is what you would pay for top quality stuff. If you go green phosphorus, non-hand select, Gen 2, you're going to save a lot more money. I mean, you might get down to 8. I don't know. Something like that. And you'll see comments guys where they saved money, still going with a PVS-7 system, which I think is great. I still do. I think a PVS-14 system is a bit better. It's lighter weight, more compact, SAWC compliant, all that stuff. The question you're asking yourself right now is, can the Sionyx Auroras replace a PVS-14 system? This is where we have to spend time talking about philosophy. Before I go into the specifics of the camera, and I will, to a certain depth. I'm not going to go into every little thing, but I'm going to talk about its night vision capability, what it can do, what it can't do. The short answer to that, having tested this with Sean the TMPer out in a very dark desert, is no. How's that? It will not replace a PVS-14. A PVS-14, especially a white phosphorus Gen 3 tube, this has a Pinnacle tube in it, is outstanding. I mean, we were out in near darkness with no IR illumination, and this thing is producing imagery that is usable, that is definable. This thing struggled mightily. It was very grainy. We couldn't make anything out. And frankly, we were cursing it out there. In that outing, we're like, this sucks. But then again, what were we looking through? We were looking through a PVS-14 going to a Sionyx Aurora. This is a Sport 1. Fair comparison? I don't know. But what we're getting to the bottom of is, will it provide useful night vision capability at its price point that would attract you? Honestly, the videos would attract me. Really, that's why you're tuning in. Hey, Nothing Fancy, would you buy this? And you guys trust my opinion to a certain degree. I hope you do. I know I will never steer you wrong. I'll do my absolute best, and that's what this video is about. But don't think it's going to be on par with a PVS-14. It ain't. With a PVS-7? No. No. But to a lesser degree, the answer is yes. It can provide usable night vision capability to you. What we found out in that outing in the desert is you damn well better have an IR Illuminator. Like, you need it. This thing needs it. And this is what James sent. So this is just a little one he sent, and looks like it went on his airsoft bump helmet or something. Probably another knockoff mount. I didn't use this one, James. I used another one. I'll show you. If you flood the area, or at least throw some type of IR illumination on it, the Sionyx Aurora performs so much better. Also, if you use it in a place where there's ambient light, like there was none in the desert, it was like a cloudy night and we had 1/8 of a moon, it was really dark. And we were no city lights around. Well, I mean, we're out in the desert. And like I said in the PVS-14 review, that's where you need to test your stuff. And most of the reviews you see online, video reviews on night vision, the guys run around in his neighborhood or around where there's a lot of lights. And I think most night vision equipment will perform pretty well in that situation. And you may have to use it in an urban environment with electricity, but we're planning for worst case philosophy of use. No electricity, city goes dark, bad guys come out. Or night airsoft game. No lights allowed. Like that, okay? That's what we're saying. And my answer to you is this thing without IR illumination is darn near worthless. But if you couple it up with an IR illuminator, an IR flashlight, it works. It works pretty good. It does provide a color view, night vision review. It is a CMOS camera, so it has limitations. It is useful. This is a bad thing that I noticed, especially when I was in an urban environment testing it, because I went and did that testing as well. Color distortion. So you'll get color blooms and weird things coming on as it transitions from looking at the sky to the ground, to the fence line, to the dogness, whatever you're looking at, you're going to have to deal with that. It ain't perfect, but the resolution is enough. You can make things out. I was in a park and there's this huge flock of geese flying overhead that I captured with a Sionyx Aurora Sport. Let's take a look at that. That was pretty cool.
I love her. Yes. Good girl. Those are geese. Those are geese. Yeah. That's cool. Flying at night, that is weird. That's pretty cool. Couldn't see that with a normal camera. They were probably going to land here if it wasn't for you, dog.
Yeah, that was pretty special. Geese flying at night. And there were about 3 large flocks that flew overhead at 12 midnight. That's right. I was out there at midnight testing the Sionyx Aurora. And here comes the geese. Pretty cool that I got them. And it did a pretty good job, don't you think? I said as much on the camera. I was like, that's pretty cool. And it opened my eyes about further capabilities of the Sionyx Aurora. Like I mentioned, in the desert, Sean and I were not impressed with it. We weren't. But I knew I had to do more testing, especially with IR illumination. See how it did. And I don't know. It did a lot better. But to re-emphasize, you need some light for these things to work, okay? Philosophy of use. We're still in POU, by the way, and I told you it's feature length. Another question I want you to ask yourself before we get into the specifics, what do you want to use this thing for? Now, over here in a plastic baggie, JP sent me a little Picatinny mount. So this is kind of cool. You can like, and there's a little screw coming up under here. It'll screw into the bottom of the Sionyx Aurora. You can mount it in front of, behind your red dot. You could use it as a weapon light. And by the way, I did not evaluate that. I did not strap this on an AR-15 and test it. These specifically are not rated for an AR-15. The Sionyx Aurora Sport, their Black Series, which is $200 more, is. The Aurora 1 is also rated, and that's an $800 version of this camera. So these ones are not. I didn't want to break it for JP and say, hey, by the way, I busted your units. And frankly, I didn't want to spend the time. If this gets, you know, again, good response, good views, thumbs up, all that stuff, I'm going to find one of these, put it behind an AR, we'll go test it. And I'll give you my opinion, maybe an in-field review, an add-on to this tabletop review. But what do you want to do with it? Do you want to use it as a weapon enhancement? So you're going to put it behind an optic? Or the other side to this, and this is kind of what I'm focusing on myself, as a user or an advocate for the Aurora, a nod, a simple night observation device that's maybe not mounted on a helmet like this, and you just use it to find out what the heck is going on around you, and you use it to, you know, increase your situational awareness. I think in that role, the Aurora is fantastic, and it can work again with IR illumination, right? IR illumination. And like I said, we did put it on a helmet, and it was ungainly and awkward. We had two set up according to his bridge system that he has here. Again, we'll take a brief look at this. This is a very heavy 7-ounce chunk of metal. And James told me where he got this. I forget. You'll see him in comment down there. He can tell you. It's just some Chinese mount. The whole thing, honestly, is a Chinese system. I already ran the cost if you want to go American made. They're pricey. You ain't going to get any. This is made in China, the made in China, China. That's not. That's US. You get the picture. This thing, we didn't like. To attach it, you need an Allen wrench, which we have here in the case that he sent. Sent me a Pelican case. So we attached it, and it kind of goes like, you know, kind of like this, and you'll see, you know, some video of Sean wearing it, and we just fooled around with it out in the desert, and it was just funky. I did mount, I believe, this plate on, I'm sorry, the mount on my plate on my Windy helmet, and we tried it. I mean, we just weren't impressed. I think they're both 9.8 ounces each, and then you add in all this metal, it's a lot. And then trying to get it dialed up to your eyes, and there's no eye shields on the Aurora, which is a downside. You know, maybe I need to test it some more and come up with another opinion. But on first initial try, using these as binocular night vision devices was awkward. Again, maybe if I upgraded the mount, upgraded the bridge, I could feel differently. But one thing we hated, by the way, is when you mount them like this. Again, we don't have eye cups, right? So we're looking into a viewfinder of a CMOS night vision color camera. All our controls are upside down. And you're changing your angle too. And I found getting to the rotary dial was a little bit awkward. And it was just funky. And you got to go into the menu system, invert the image since we are using the camera upside down. And you can do that. It's an easy option to do. And James had already done that. So this is right side up the way James has it set up. Binocular vision, I don't know. I think you'd be better off going with like this PVS-14, using them in a single mode off an arm. And then you have an unincluded eye to use your weapon, your airsoft gun, or whatever you're using. And I'm for that. And by the way, I don't mind a single PVS monocular. In my pricing, I said dude wants 2 of them because that's what the interweb tells me I should have. 2. I say 1's fine. 1's fine. It gives you night vision capability. You can see an IR laser. Go watch my PVS-14 review. I talk about it a lot there. We have some philosophy there as well. Some rants too. Yeah. Weapon mount, again, I can't say definitively if this will be great. I think the main advantage of this is a nod. You're just looking around to see what the heck is going on, and maybe you do mount a single unit like that, and you can see your IR laser, whether it's a Balder IR laser, which I love. I'll have a link to that below, albeit they're a little bit of a hassle to sight in, because you don't have a visible laser that is co-witnessed with it. I might do a review on that separately as a nod, though. And here I'm going to roll in another Sionyx Aurora Sport camera. And you may have noticed that James painted these a cool tactical color. Just kind of some OD colorations, a little bit different shades, but they look great. They're kind of worn, through, looking kind of Boba Fettish and Star Wars-y. But here's what I came up with to address this philosophy of use discussion. Remember what we've said. In pure darkness, the Sionyx Aurora cameras don't do well. They need IR illumination. They're kind of heavy, bulky, and cumbersome to use in a binocular mount. I think they would be somewhat better in a binocular mount. They would be better in a monocular setup. But I think you guys watching this video would greatly benefit with, get ready, a nut and fancy modded Sionyx Aurora Sport system. Are you ready? Here it is. Nut and fancy, you magnificent bastard. Thank you. I'm always thinking. I'm always planning. This, my friends, is how I think the Sionyx Aurora series of color night vision cameras should be used. Simply as a night vision device. Mount it on your helmet if you want to, but this is going to be cheap right here. Right? So I've got the $400 camera. This is a Sport unpainted. This is mine, by the way. I bought this handle. What a cool handle that is. I found that in Amazon. It's called a Fantaseal camera grip for 14 bucks. Holy crap, that is cool. I love it too. It's like a Mondo AR-15 grip, and then you'll attach the camera quickly like this. Look at this. I know you guys are excited about this. You should be. And if you're not, you don't know what this can do. You wait. What it can do with an IR illumination is sick. Okay, we just tighten it up right there. Piece of cake. I'll get to the controls here in a minute. And then I mounted an integral IR illuminator. This is what I'm talking about. This by itself, no. Says nothing fancy. Because you're going to be in pure darkness and it just grains out. You can't see crap. IR illuminator, awesome. And this is one of my old Ultrafire 840 nanometer IR flashlights. I don't think they make this one. There's 2 CR123s in there. Here's information on it. I think I spent $14 on this when I bought it years ago. 14 bucks. Then I took a short run of Picatinny rail. I put 3M sticky tape on it, and this pistol grip is threaded with 1/4 inch by 20 threading, standard tripod screw. So I machined this out with a Dremel, put a screw in there, and I locked it down on that 3M tape, put a 1-inch scope ring on there to mount the IR illuminator, and bam, there you have it. An integral night vision observation device. Whatever you want to call it. And here's my carry case for it. This is like a Sundog case I had for a first aid kit. I'm just repurposing it. Look at this. Look at that. Hey, nothing fancy. I've seen you've been getting, label happy again. You got to label everything. Otherwise, the people who inherit this stuff won't know what it is. Heck, I won't know what it is. Look at this thing, though. How cool that is. It's lightweight, compact, and with this system, boys, you can see in the night. Like a long distance. Now, they're saying that this Ultrafire is good out to like 50 yards. And I would say that's about right. It'll go beyond that. The link I'll put below is a new Ultrafire, and it's a 940 nanometer unit that has a rheostat on the back of it, and I don't have one here to show you. And that thing is legit. I mean, and it runs on an 18650, a bigger battery, more powerful battery, and it will get out there. There you go, boys. There you go. Now we're talking. And now you don't have to spend $300 on a bump helmet, more money on a mount. All you need to do is a $14 grip. $14. Let's call this $30 with a new one, and maybe a few. You got some of these laying around already, though. Pick rails. Cheap, and it works. I showed this to Tactical Doodle, and I showed it to Last Suspect, my boys, and they were like, dude, that is awesome. And I said, is it as good as a PVS-14? They're like, nah. But it is something. It is something. Okay, we got to keep going here. Otherwise, we're going to be here for 2 hours. Let's get into the controls of this. And I want you to understand this. This really isn't a night vision device, per se. The Aurora. And by the way, I forgot to mention, this is on like a really super cheesy J-arm mount with a knockoff mount. Look at all the play in this. Holy crap. That is horrible. And I don't think we use this out in the desert. But again, this is a value system. James isn't saying this is like high quality. This is his stuff. But this is a plastic J-arm. And by the way, a PVS-14 as it comes with a plastic J-arm. This mount, no worky. This is horrible. But it gives you an idea of how a single mount system would look, okay? And again, with a quality mount, you can adjust the tilt. You can adjust how far it is to your face. Albeit, again, this mount I absolutely detest. It's so bad. Yeah, this one's a lot better. I like that one. I'll put a link to that one too. Okay, so again, understand this is actually a camera. It records. It can take up 32 gigabytes in memory card. And we're going to open up the back of it. This is where you put the battery in. See that battery right here? So you have, well, it's not a great battery. Might as well talk about it now. The battery might be a downside to this whole unit. It's a 1025 milliamp battery. It's called an SX50. They're saying it lasts 3 hours. Maybe you have a place to plug in a micro USB here, and we did find the unit will work with an external battery pack on it. So I would say make that an integral part of your Sionyx Aurora kit. Here's a 10,000 milliamp battery with a micro USB. I always label those in red so to keep them confused. I know. Organization is key to everything. But there's your battery. You press that tab, it'll pop out. And then your micro SD card is right here. Notice the gaskets around here. So this is supposed to be rated to IPX67, 3 feet for 30 minutes. I'm saying, okay, I wouldn't want to test that because I think this is a weak point of the whole system right here where water could get in. Maybe the wheel. I think rain you'd be fine, but I would never dunk this underwater. I wouldn't want to test that at all. It's a camera. I did rant a little bit by the lack of a eyepiece like the PVS-14. See how it's kind of like a bellows eyepiece? I kind of wish they had it, and maybe someone aftermarkets it. I don't know, because it was just awkward seeing it the way we were. But you can experiment with it. What works for your eyes? There is a diopter adjustment right here. That's very critical for you to make the image focus for your eyeballs. Now on the top, real quick, this is your record button or take picture button. These are your arrow keys. Okay, and this one right here, I think the left and right are your digital zoom, and that's just something you need to understand about this very compact unit, by the way. Look how small this is. I mean, here comes a Blade HQ Wolf Special Edition Super Tinker knife. Look at this. It's a small unit, 9.8 ounces with a battery. That is pretty awesome. That's lighter weight than a PVS-14, by the way. Yeah, so it's small, but with that small size, you're not going to get an optical zoom. What you're going to get is a digital zoom, and every time you digitally zoom, you know what's going to happen. It's going to get grainier. So the settings I'm on right now is EIS off, 60 FPS, Evf off. I'll explain more about that later, and it seems to work out pretty good. You would zoom if you wanted to through these, and then you can gain an exposure with this button right here or down with that button. And then according to where this dial, the mode dial is, this will access your menus to change the stuff I just blabbered about. Again, I'm not going to go through every feature of this camera, although I do think it's rather simple. Look in the manual if you want. This, what you're seeing right here, is super critical. This is, again, your mode selector, and notice what I did, just like I do on my red dots. That's right, orange paint. That way you can tell where it is. The thing we found out in the desert when we were testing this is there was no markings on it, and we left this thing on, and I didn't check the auto power off that James had set, but you can set it for never 5 minutes, 10 minutes, or 20 minutes, but we ran out of juice on one of these, and so it's real easy. You can look at the dial with my painting and say, oh, okay, I'm in the off position. This first dial is photos. The next one, you see a blob of orange there. That's video. That's probably where you will want to go, mostly. And then you've got loop, playback, and Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is important because you can actually stream your imagery to an app you can have on your Android or iPhone. We didn't try that. That's a whole different thing, but maybe you could use it as a security camera. I'd say you're better off going with Arlo's myself. But you could do it. Could do it. So that's your mode selector. You're basically going to leave it there. It's easy to bump. That's a downside. It's not as ergonomic as a PVS-14, not by a long shot. This is a mil-spec knob. This is a consumer electronics knob. Okay, just pointing out limitations, bro. This is your scene selector. So this is super important. Again, I have blobs of paint here. That's actually fluorescent fingernail polish, dudes. And this tells me it's in night mode. I should say night scene. This is twilight and this is daytime. So your Sionyx Aurora series of cameras has those three settings. If you're going to use it as a nod, you're basically going to live right here. Right here. And then I love this. Maybe some guys don't, but I love it. It has manual focus. So you just manually focus the camera. It's simple. It works. It's awesome that way, and it's a very small system. There's no camera lens that opens and closes like with my Sony cameras. And if you're wondering about the F ratings in daytime mode, it's f5.6, twilight's f2, and night is f1.4 if you care. And this is my unit. Like I said, I'm going to leave mine white for now because I'm not really going to put it in a tactical philosophy of use. It's just kind of a nod right now. By the way, this bumper pad for the viewfinder, you probably want to super glue on because it popped off repeatedly and I finally just got sick of it and super glued it on. Yeah, there you go. There you go. It does work. I don't think it's overwhelming to set either. When you get your Sionyx Aurora, don't be overwhelmed by it. Just go get the PDF manual. I didn't see a manual that came in the box, but you can search it out on online, Google Sionyx Aurora manual and set it up. 2-year warranties included. And what I was talking about is EIS off. That's electronic image stabilization. To get better night vision performance, I think you have that turned off. And then there's a thing called Evf Off. And what that does is put your viewfinder to sleep. And you would go to Wi-Fi mode for that. Press and hold, I think, the center menu button and it'll come up. Go to the menu once again. You definitely want to have that turned off though, because you'll be looking through it and all of a sudden your screen will shut off. You don't want that, do you? Yeah. Overall though, when you set your Sionyx Aurora camera up like this, I'm down. It's a recommend purchase. Again, if you have money, if you have the other things I mentioned squared away. But look at the money you would save over PVS-7. Even if it's a Gen 2 unit, it's going to be a lot less expensive. PVS-14, it's like light years less expensive than that. I talked about the helmet use, okay? Maybe I need to experiment with it more. I know a lot of people speak very positively with these set up either in a monocular or binocular configuration. We didn't like it. And again, maybe that was just because we were using the genuine military PVS-14 article alongside it. I don't know. It's a recommend, dude. Now, there's other versions. I mentioned them quickly. There is the Aurora Black. That is a weapon-rated color night vision camera. It can take, they're saying shocks up to 5.56. It might be a little bit more than that. I probably wouldn't be too worried about using on a 308, but who knows? That's going to run $200 more. So that's, at the time of this filming, was about $600. A lot cheaper than a PVS system though. And then you have an Aurora 1, and that is like an even more expensive one that has GPS and some other stuff. Oh, a compass in it. Features I would never use. And those more upgraded units come with a hard case, extra batteries, and other than that, they're basically the same unit. You're not going to gain anything in night performance from a Sport. You need to understand that. So if you buy a Sport and you go to the black or you go to the Aurora 1, if I'm getting the names right, it's the same unit. It's the same night vision capability, and the body's the same. You're just getting more accessories and maybe some shock resistance. There you go. Got to wrap it up. Feature length. Feature length. Yeah. Fun though, man. I'm having a blast. I hope you are too. I have a feeling that this is super popular. The Aurora cameras are super popular with the airsoft crowd. In my research, I was like, I've seen a lot of guys with their setups on airsoft helmet. You know, they have like an airsoft Lancer helmet for super cheap. Their mounts are, well, they're kind of like this. These are probably airsoft mounts, you know, just kind of toyish. But if you're willing to spend some money on mounts, they're not inexpensive, some good ones. You know, you can put it on your bump helmet or your ballistic helmet, whatever, and you may love it. But I think this is the bomb right here, dudes. And by the way, you can see this one come on in the camera. The 940 nanometer is visible to the naked eye. It has an LED at the rear on that ultrafire, and you can see it. But I went with this smaller IR Illuminator in this setup because I want it to be compact. You know, I can just point it over there, dark place in the field, and see if that's Sasquatch or not. You just don't know. By the way, that's another philosophy of use. Just fun. Just a conversation piece. Take it out on a camp out. Look at wildlife with it. Again, it has a recording function. By the way, it's 720p is its max resolution. 60 frames per second. Yeah, film that. Who knows? Maybe I film some TMP stuff with it, as opposed to my night vision capable Sony camera that works actually quite well. Close range though. Close range. There you go. Nothing fancy review. Sorry, Sionyx Aurora series of color night vision cameras. Thanks again to James. Or did I get your name wrong? Maybe it's Joseph. I think it's James. Mr. Pena. I know that part's right. Thanks so much for sending this stuff to us. And it inspired me to go get one for longer term testing. Longer term testing. If, again, the response to this is phenomenal, then I'll go seek to find a Aurora Black and we'll weapon mount it, take it out in the desert, and we'll give you some conclusions. Thanks again. Be a donor. Stay in the donation service for year after year. We are cranking content out more than ever before. A wide variety of content. All the stuff you see on the table, tactical accessories, adventure videos, camping videos. Just posted some of those. Keep watching. I think you'll like it. And if you do get one of these, come back, comment, tell me how you like it. Over and out.